If you see, remind me to take the book.
Yes, sir.
Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Aksharasamamnayam Adhigamya Maheshwarat Kristam Vyakaranam Proktam Tasmai Paninaye Namaha Vakyakaram Vararuchim Bhashyakaram Patanjalim Paninim Sutrakarancha Pranatosmi Munitrayam Vagartha Vivasam Prukto Vagartha Pratipattaye Jagatah Pitaro Vande Parvati Parameshwaro. So in the last class we had completed some part of Raghuvamsha, which is written by Kalidasa, a great poet. Now some portion, in fact the initial portion of Kalidasa's composition, Kalidasa's work called Abhignana Shakuntala. That is a play, a drama, and there are 7 acts. In drama, the stages, the parts are known by the act, like how Upanishads say Khanda, Brahmana. So in drama it is called act, Anka they call it. So here act 1 is given, and the story Abhignana Shakuntala story is a story where a king called Dushyanta, he goes to the forest for hunting and he is chasing one deer, and he goes near the ashrama, and there he meets Shakuntala and they have the affection for each other, and then story goes on. We don't go that far. In fact, here is still this Raja is entering into the forest and one deer is chasing, and that description is given here. Alright. King Dushyanta arrival at the Kanvas hermitage. So that is going to be the description. That how King Dushyanta, the king, a very well-known king, his son alone was Bharata, and from that alone this country got the name Bharata, according to some people. So that Bharata, his father Dushyanta, and he enters into the forest, and finally afterwards he will enter into the ashrama of this Kanva Rishi. And Kanva Rishi's adopted daughter is Shakuntala. So based on that, the name of the whole drama is called Abhignana Shakuntala. Abhignana Shakuntala. Means, Abhignana means a token of remembrance. He had given some ring, and based on that Shakuntala is recognized. So a long story is there. So Abhignanena Smruta Shakuntala Yatra. So Natake, that Nataka is called Abhignana Shakuntala. Alright. So now I will read that part. Tatah pravishati mruganusari sasharachapa hasto raja rathena sutasya. Tataha, thereafter. Means after the introduction. In drama, in olden days drama, there used to be one, what is called MC, Sutradhara they will call. And he will be introducing the subject matter. So then Nati will be there, so she will be singing some song, and then Sutradhara is telling your song is very good, and then he introduces the Raja who is coming on the stage. Tataha means after the introduction, Pravishati enters, Mruganusari Raja, the king, who is Mruganusari. Mrugam Anusaratiti Mruganusari, one who is following the deer. How he is coming? Rathena, by chariot, means sitting in chariot. And what is the description of Raja? Shashara Chapa Hastaha. With this hand having the shara, means arrows, chapa, and chapa means bow. With the hands endowed with the bow and arrow, means having the bow and arrow in his hand, that type of Raja. Seated in the chariot, he enters. Sutasya, Suta means the driver, charioteer. So Raja, having the bow and arrow in his hand, seated in the chariot, enters along with the driver. Alright. So on the stage, the real chariot will not be there. So that action will be there. So in between will come that he is acting. So that in the chariot action they come. Okay. Then Sutaha. Rajanam Mrugancha Avalokya. So because when it's a drama, they have to give that what is the action also. So the Suta, the driver, Avalokya, having seen Rajanam, he looked at the king, Mrugamcha, and the deer also. And now he is speaking. So having looked at the king and the deer, he says something. Ayushman. Ayushman means, O long-lived one, O king with long life. Ayuhu asti yasya saha ayushman. Sambodhana Ayushman. O king with long life. Sambodhana to Raja. That is the style in those days. They will address the king in a very respectful manner. And one way is Ayushman, the O long-lived one or long-living one. Krishna sare dadachakshustvaicha dijya karmuke. Mruganusarinam sakshat pashyamiva pinakinam. Krishna sare dadat chakshuhu tvai cha adijya karmuke mruganusarinam sakshat pashyami. It's a pashyami there, no? It should be pashyami. Pashyami iva pinakinam. So Kalidasa is known for his simile. Upama Kalidasasya. So Suta, the driver, is telling to the Raja. He says, Dadat chakshuhu. When I am casting my eyes, I am lending my eyes. Krishna sare, on that deer with variegated colors. Krishna cha aso saraha cha. Saraha means shabalaha, of variegated color. So one who is the dark also and variegated color deer, Krishna Sara, is the name of the deer. A particular species of deer, not name, species of deer. So Krishna Sare dadat chakshuhu. When I am lending my eyes on the deer and tvaicha and on you. So when I look at the deer and look at you, What type of yew? Adijya karmuke. One whose karmuka means the bow is adijya, is strung. You know, when the string is already, extended, that is called adijya. Or the bow is ready. Bow is not like loosen. Bow is ready for targeting. That is called adijya. Jya means that particular string. Adhirudha jya. So the string is already set. That type of bow. So the one whose bow is already strung means ready. So when I see the deer and when I see you with the bow which is already strung, then pashyami iva, I am as though seeing what? Sakshat Pinakinam, Sakshat Lord Shiva, who is Mruganusarinam, who is following the deer. In Purana, somewhere story comes like that. So, he says, as if when you are chasing the deer, it looks like Lord Shiva is chasing the deer. So, I am seeing as though Lord Shiva. Pinaka is the name of the bow of Shiva. So, Pinakam asti yasya sa, or Pinakaha asti yasya sa, Pinaki tam. Alright. Here the Anvaya is Krishna Sare Adijya Karmuke Tvaicha Dadat Chakshuhu Aham, or Chakshuhu Dadat Aham. Here Dadan it will not become. There is a sutra for that. Abhyastasya Parasya 7178. You might have studied. So Chakshuhu Dadat Aham Sakshat Pinakinam, Mruganusarinam Pinakinam Sakshat Pashyami Iva. Mruganusarinam Pinakinam Sakshat Pashyami Iva. Or Sakshat Pinakinam Pashyami Iva. Either way it is fine. Alright. So Mruganusarinam Pinakinam Sakshat Pashyami Iva. As though I am seeing the Shiva himself, Sakshat means himself, who is following the deer. Alright. Now, Raja. Hey Suta, O driver, Duram Amuna Sarangena Vayam Akrishtaha. We are drawn. Akrishta means drawn. We are drawn. Duram, very far off. Amuna Sarangena, by this deer. We are drawn very far off by this deer. And Ayam Punaha, but this deer, Ayam means this referring to deer. But this deer, Idanim api, even now he is looking as it is described in the following verse. Grivabhangabhiramam muhuranurpatati syandane baddha drishtihi. Pashva paschardhena pravishta sharapatana bhayat bhuyasa purvakayam. Darbhairardhavalidai shrama vivrutamukha bramshibih kirnavartma. Not there? Darbhairardhavalidai shrama vivrutamukha bramshibih kirnavartma. पश्योदग्रप्लुतत्वाद्वियति बहुतरं स्तोकमूर्व्यां प्रयाति. The Antonine, the author must be not knowing that it is little difficult for our level. Even I have to see so much time I have to spend, because the Anvaya, connection, this Samasa and all is a highly advanced. See, it is such a thing that if you understand, you enjoy. But to understand, you have to struggle a lot. So by the time you get joy, you are tired. So that much. Like, sometimes you go to the restaurant, you wait and wait when it's so bored that even food comes, you don't feel like eating. So that type of thing happens. But slowly when we get used to, then it's a really joy that how the imagination and description is very minute. Alright. So this is the description of the deer. Raja, the king, is describing the deer. And the description is that deer is going ahead, chariot is following, and deer every now and then looked back. So he looks back because the chariot, how far it has reached me. So he is looking back, and because it looks back, its neck is turned, and it looks very beautiful to Raja. And he says this is running so fast that as if he is entering his the backside into front side. So he is entering his back body, the backside body, the hind part into the front part, and he is having so high jump that it looks like that more is in the air than on the ground. So that type of description is there. Alright. So I am just giving the idea so that when we read you can have this understanding. First I will break the sandhi. Griva bhangabhiramam muhuhu anupatati syandane baddha drishtihi paschardhena pravishtaha sharapatana bhayat bhuyasa purvakayam darbeihi ardhavalidehi shrama vivruta mukha bramshibihi kirna vartma Pashya udagra plutatvat. Pashya and udagra, they are separate. Pashya udagra plutatvat viyati bahutaram stokam urvyam prayati. So Raja is telling the driver, Pashya, please see how is this deer. He says, Griva bhangabhiramam, looking very graceful by bhanga, the bend of griva, the neck. So it gracefully, it looking very graceful by the bend of this neck. And baddha drishtihi, his sight is fixed. Muhuhu, again and again, repeatedly. Means repeatedly he is seeing at the syandane, to the chariot. Repeatedly his sight is fixed on the chariot. Which chariot? Anupatati. Anupatati is not a kriyapada here. Saptami vibhakti. Anupatat. So which is following. So the deer sight is fixed on the chariot which is following it. You have to imagine that deer is ahead, chariot is following. So he is looking back. The deer is looking back to the chariot which is following the deer. Okay. So anupatati syandane baddha drishtihi. Alright. And when he is doing that, Raja feels he looks so beautiful. His bend of the bend of the neck, and because of that he is looking very beautiful. And this very imaginative description. Paschardhena pravishtaha bhuyasa purva kayam. So he is pravishtaha, he is entered into his purva kayam, front part, the front part of the body, fore part of the body. By what? Paschardena, by the hind part of the body. Bhuyasa, very much. Why? Sharapatana bhayat. Because of the fear of the fall of arrow. So he has entered, he is this, what is called Pascharda, the what is called the hind part, half hind part of the half of the hind part of the body. So Paschat means hind, the behind part. So the later part, by the later part of the body, as if he is entering into the front part of the body very much. Means he is shrinking his body. Sharapatana bhayat, because of the fear of the fall of arrow. And this is one more imagination. Not imagination, but creative description. He said when this deer is walking, he is dropping this grass which he had eaten and half chewed grass is falling on the ground. Therefore the ground is becoming full of grass falling from his mouth and which is half chewed. That is said here. Darbehi kirna vartma. The path, the one whose path is kirna, scattered, spread with darbaha, grass. So when he is walking, his path is spread with or scattered with the grass. What type of grass? Ardhavalidhehi. Darbehi ardhavalidhehi. Which is half chewed. Avalidha means chewed. Ardha means half. Which is half chewed. And Brahmshibihi, dropping, falling. From what? Vivruta mukha, open mouth. And how his mouth is open? How come? Shrama, because of fatigue. So, his path is scattered with the grass which is falling from the mouth open due to tiredness, due to fatigue. Alright. So that is the description of the deer. So his path is scattered with grass. Alright. Pashya, you please see. He is telling his driver, you see how Udagra plutatvat. Udagram plutam yasya. Saha udagra plutaha. Tasya bhavaha taspat. Because of having very lofty leap, jump. Because of having high jump or high leap. Viyati, in the sky. Bahutaram. Most of the time. Mostly is in the sky. Stokam, very little. Urvyam, on the ground. Prayati. Prayati means he goes, he moves. He moves more on the ground, very little, more in the sky, less on the ground. So he is running, he said, as if he is flying. So Bahutaram Viyati. Viyati is a Saptami of Viyat. So more he is on the sky and very little he is on the ground. In this manner he is going. Alright. Anvaya. Pashya. Anupatati Syandane Griva Bangabhiramam Muhuhu Baddha Drashtihi. Sharapatana Bhayad Bhuyasa. पश्चार्धेन पूर्वकायं प्रविष्टः। श्रमविवृत मुखभ्रंशिभिः अर्धावलीढैः दर्भैः कीर्णवर्त्मा उदग्रप्लुतत्वात् बहुतरं वियति पूर्व्यां स्तोकं प्रयाति. So, the meaning is, look, look at this deer, graceful by the bend of its neck, having fixed its sight very often on the chariot which is following it, and drawing itself mostly into the forepart of his body by the posterior half on account of the fear of arrow falling on it, and strewing and his path is strewn with the grass which is half chewed and dropping from his mouth, kept open due to exhaustion. Please see this deer who, because of having lofty leap, moves much more in the air or space and little on the ground. Alright. Now next, Savishmayam. Savishmayam is with wonder, with sense of wonder. Tad eshaha katham अनुपततः एव मे प्रयत्न प्रेक्षणीयः संवृत्तः तदा, then एषः, this deer, katham, how come, अनुपततः एव मे, for me who is following this deer, for me who is following this deer indeed, prayatna prekshaniyaha, visible with great effort, samvruttaha, has become. So Raja is telling that how come that deer has now become very difficult to see, or it is visible with great effort, means we were able to see him very easily. Now how come he has become invisible or hardly visible? So what is the reason we are not able to see this deer? Then Suta is telling the answer. Ayushman utkhatini bhumihi iti maya rashmi sanyamanad rathasya mandikrita vegaha. He says, O Ayushman, O king with long life, utkhatini bhumihi, this ground is uneven with potholes. Iti, therefore, maya, by me, rashmi sanyamanat, by drawing the reins, rathasya vegaha, the speed of the chariot, mandikritaha, was reduced, was slowed down. The speed of the chariot was slowed down. Tena, because of that reason, eshaha mrugaha, this deer, viprakrishtantarah samvruttaha, has become remote or has become with excessive gap, excessive distance, means has become remote. Samprati, now, Samadesha Vartinaha te, for you, Raja, who is Samadesha Vartinaha, Shashti, who is now remaining in even area, smooth area, na durasadaha bhavishyati, will not become inaccessible. Who? Deer. So now deer will not be inaccessible because now we have come to the smooth ground. Then Raja says, Tenahi mucyantam abhishavaha. So because of that reason, he indeed mucyantam, be released. Abhishavaha, rains. So you please release these rains, means let the horses move faster. Sutaha yad agnapayati ayushman. There is another reading, yatha agnapayati ayushman. How Ayushman, long-lived king, orders, so I will do. Yatha agnapayati ayushman. As the king orders, it will happen. Then rathavegam nirupya. Having acted the speed, he shows the speed of the chariot by action. So rathavegam nirupya means having enacted the speed of the chariot. Means he has to do like some movement he has to show that so people understand that now the chariot is moving very fast. So he has to act, because real chariot he cannot bring on the stage, and therefore he has to act. So rathavegam nirupya. Ayushman, the Raja Sambodhana, O Raja, King, Pashya Pashya, see, you please see. And then he gives the shloka and he describes the horses. He says when the horses now are released, their front part of the body is very much stretched, and they have got some chauri, this decorative part on their head, that also is not moving, and their ears and all are steady and raised, and they are moving so fast that even the dust particles which they are raising, they also cannot even catch. And these horses are not able to tolerate the speed of the deer. So as if they are intolerant to the speed of the deer, they are running very fast. That is going to come, which we'll see in the next class. We have got so many questions to